Hello everyone, hi. So making a YouTube channel about books has really helped me personally to structure the thoughts and feelings that I have around books and to learn to express myself. You know, it used to be the case that whenever I read books all my life, I would read them, and when I came to the last page, I just closed them and put them back on the shelf. And maybe they would sort of linger in my mind for a few days, and maybe I would recommend that book to someone, but nothing much happened. And I could sort of feel those books vanishing from my consciousness in a dramatic rate. And I realized at some point that it's never gonna matter how many books I read if I don't find a way to engage with them and talk about them. And that is where the idea for this YouTube channel also started. So the way I read texts now is very different. You know, I underline things as I go, I take notes, I sum them up, and I think about how it relates to my own life and what lessons I can take with me from them. And all that is the case because I now make videos about those texts that I love. And even though there are many benefits to making a book YouTube channel, that one has always been the most poignant for me. And I can say that making those videos has really drastically increased my ability to retain texts, my ability to think critically, to write, and to express my opinions and to stand in for them. So if that speaks to you and you would also like to start a book YouTube channel, one that is fulfilling for you to create content on and that other people like to watch, then this video is for you. And I have made a complimentary worksheet for this video. You can find it in the description below. It's the first link. It's for people who are serious about starting a channel and just want to structure their thoughts around the process a bit. And it contains 10 or so questions you can ask yourself. So it will sort of be the action step that complements this very video. Also, I asked on the community page if you have any questions around this process. Many good questions came in. I'm gonna answer all of them in this video. Some of them sprinkled throughout my general advice, and then most of them I will just answer in the Q&A section at the end of the video. Alright, so in case you're new here, hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you're watching this video. My name is Maria and I study comparative literature at the University of Vienna, and I love languages and books, and that's what I make videos about here. So if you haven't yet, I will be so happy if you subscribed, and let's get into the main part of this video. So when I thought about how I want to structure this video, I thought about it in a way where I would imagine sitting down with a friend over a cup of tea, and this friend is thinking about making a channel or making book videos. And the first thing I would probably say to that friend would be, think about why. I would say take some time and think about the reason why you're drawn to making a channel. I told you in the intro to this video what the reason was and still is for me, but your reasons might be very different. You might look for a sense of community because you don't have a lot of people in your life that are interested in reading the way you are. Or maybe you want to improve your speaking skills. It could also be that your reason to start a channel is because you're feeling a bit shy and you want to practice articulating your opinions and putting them out there. Or maybe you feel like you have a unique perspective that is just underrepresented in the online book world. But whatever it is, find your thing, find your main thing, find the reason that is the backbone to your desire to make this video channel. And I say that because finding that thing will really help you to stay true to yourself in the process. It will help you to decide which videos to make and how to navigate this online jungle. And it will just be like an overall guiding light that you can come back to in times when you feel discouraged. And I will just say that if your main reason is because you hope to make a lot of money from this, I think you're better off doing something else, because book videos are not the most lucrative niche on YouTube. So it will probably be a very frustrating process for you if you don't have anything else to sustain your desire. Okay, so the next thing I would say to that imaginary person having imaginary tea with me would be to just start. The earlier you can upload your first videos, the better, because that process of actually filming videos and actually uploading them will teach you so much more than you can ever figure out and philosophize about in your head. And it will teach you much more than you could ever learn from watching YouTube videos about making videos. It will all come down to the fact that you'll have to sit down in front of a camera and talk about something, edit and upload this video, and seeing whether that is something you're actually into or could at least potentially get into. Because, you know, just because a lot of people have a YouTube channel doesn't mean that you have to have one too. Maybe it's not for you, and that's okay. There are so many other ways to engage with books, and making videos is really just one of those ways. And if that doesn't suit you for any reason, it's really better to find out as soon as possible so you can move on and try something else. So at this stage, I would say think about 4 easy videos that you can just make without a lot of effort. They can be videos that you yourself like watching, like talking about a book you recently read, your favorite author, how your reading year has gone, what you love about a specific genre, anything. You know, it really doesn't matter at that stage what the content is. It's really all about you sort of practicing that muscle for the first time and finding out whether you actually like doing this. Okay, and here I'll get into the first question that K.S6021 asked. I want to start a YouTube channel about books and other cultural aspects, but I'm camera shy. For Book-YouTube, how engaging would a voiceover be? Thank you for that question. You know, I just want to say that I completely understand feeling shy, and filming yourself and hearing your own voice will be very awkward, especially in the beginning. So I can assure you that whatever YouTuber you like watching has felt awkward and weird in the beginning too. But the thing is, you actually very quickly get over that. You know, I used to look at people and think, oh, they have the personality to make videos. You know, they're bubbly, they're so confident, they have the looks, they have the voice, they have the whatevers, you know, but I don't, and I'm over here and I want to do what those people are doing over there, but I'm never gonna get there. And I'm doomed to just keep fantasizing about the things I would love to do. But the truth is, there are no two sides. You know, there are no people who are immune to this sort of a little bit of anxiety when you're starting something new. So the only difference between you and those people speaking confidently on camera is that those people at one point in their lives were willing to do something that felt uncomfortable, confronting, and scary. And they were willing to sort of keep doing it until it felt less uncomfortable, confronting, and scary. All that being said, you know, I don't know you personally. If what you're struggling with is an intense, overwhelming feeling of anxiety that is debilitating, then maybe it's good to look into therapy. But if it's just a bit uncomfortable, then, there's no way around that. And if it helps you to start with voiceovers, do that. Why not? Practice your speaking voice. I think it's great. I do think that in the end people prefer seeing someone's face just because they want to know the person, what the person looks like, who they're listening to. But there are channels who are doing good with just voiceovers as well. Anything that just gets you some practice in is great. Also, I want to say that if you're feeling nervous about something, I always think that's actually a great sign that you really care about something, And there's this wonderful quote by Seth Godin. I have it, where do I have it? Like here, I think it's here on the wall in the back actually. And it says that art is a personal act of courage, something one person does that creates change in another. And the key word here is courage. It takes a lot to put yourself out there, but it will also grow you if you can find a way to make it through that. Also, filming the intro is usually the hardest part. I myself start my videos over like 3 or 4 times because you just feel a little bit weird still, and you're thinking about the camera too much, and you're not in the flow quite as much yet. So what really helps is to just film your intro at the end and then cut it in a way where it will be in the beginning, but people don't know, because you look the same way. And then you can just start directly with the subject, and you don't have to worry about addressing someone or coming across a certain way or leaving a good first impression. You can just do that at the end when you're probably going to feel a lot more warmed up. You can, look through any of my videos and look at my state in the beginning of the video and look at my state at the end of the video. It takes a while to get comfortable with this artificial sort of situation. Okay, the next question is by S.N2797, and that person asks, do I need to buy a fancy camera and a filming setup? So I would say no. Most people have a perfectly fine phone they can just film with. Most newer smartphones are perfectly capable of filming those sit-down type of videos that you see a lot. Even vlogs, so I wouldn't go out there running to buy a camera. And then I would just sit in front of a window in daylight so you can get as much natural light in as possible. You'll see that looks the best. Maybe the one thing I would get would be a tripod, just because it's very handy to be able to manipulate your camera and your phone camera in a way where the angle looks good and you don't have to balance things on books, even though I have done that in the past. I think a tripod is worth the investment. Even in terms of editing, if you manage to just film a video in one go, you don't even need to do any editing. If you want to edit, there is a lot of great free programs. I still edit on iMovie, which is just the free editing software that comes with Apple products. I've seen that Canva now has an option to edit videos online. So, I'm sure you can find a free software for whatever sort of computer you're working from. And if you do decide to upgrade, so you have made some videos, you want to up the quality of your videos, I would first upgrade audio. So get a better microphone, because I have found that people care a lot more, and I also care a lot more about having good audio than about having good video, especially in those chatty, informative book videos, because so often people don't actually watch, they just listen to it in the background. And I find videos with bad audio basically impossible to watch, but bad video quality, I find that okay. Like, I can excuse that if the audio quality is good. And you can get good microphones for under under 100 euros. You know, I think this one costs 80 or something. I'll talk about that one way at the end of this video if you are interested in this specific microphone. And I'll talk about all my gear at the end of the video, but I do want to stay away from that here a little bit because I really want to sort of bring the point home that you should not think that you have to invest a lot of money into making YouTube videos at first. You know, keep this endeavor, see it as a trial, and keep it as low investment as you can. Rather put time and energy and thought into it than money in the beginning, and you can upgrade your equipment as you go. So after those initial videos, you'll have gotten a good sense of whether you actually enjoy making videos or not. You'll also have noticed which videos you liked making the most, and you'll have also seen at that point that running a YouTube channel is a lot more work than just filming videos. You know, you'll have to wrangle with videography, with uploading, with writing descriptions, with editing, and all these sort of things that surround the actual video that you're filming in any moment. And you'll know whether you want to keep this little experiment going or not. If you do, then we're going into the next phase that I call refining. And the first step in that next phase would be to ask yourself what you want to talk about all the time. I've also put this question in my worksheet because I think it's actually quite important. I'll give you an example in my own life and then I think you'll understand. So you can ask any person that is close to me in some way and they'll all tell you that I often send quotes of books and book recommendations around to people. So I'll just make this long voice message of reading them a page or two of a book. I'll see a quote somewhere. I'm reading about something that makes me think about them, and I bother everyone with long, stretches of my thinking on specific kinds of texts. So, maybe there's something in your life that that feels like there's a wellspring inside of you that could just keep going on about certain topics or in a certain way. And that is what I mean with what you want to talk about all the time. Could be good to ask some family or friends about that if you're not so sure. They'll tell you maybe the way they perceive you. But I think mostly you'll know that yourself. The next question in the worksheet and the next question I would encourage my friend to think about, and maybe the most important question of this entire video, is which gap do you see? Here's what I mean by that. It's very simple. Are there videos that you would like to watch that are not being made? And I'll give you some examples from the videos that I would like to see that I don't see being made enough. So I just in general don't see a lot of people talking about the books I'm interested in, especially not in English. I don't see a lot of people making calm content without a bunch of jump cuts and people that are speaking in a way where I don't feel like someone's yelling at me. And I don't see people talking about books across language borders a lot and taking translation into account. And to be clear, of course there are people on YouTube who cover some of those needs that I have when watching YouTube videos. But there is, I think, no one who checks all these boxes, and you can be that person that checks all these boxes. And the fact that you're looking for those videos also means that other people are looking for those videos. In fact, the first video of mine that did very well about the 6 books that made me study literature, I almost didn't do that one because I've never seen a video like that. I looked at any configuration of the title that I could come up with before I uploaded the video. I just wanted to see, okay, do other people how do other people title their video when they talk about this? No one. Like, there's literally no video like that out there. So I was really doubting myself, being like, maybe that's just not something people are interested in. But if I'm being really honest with myself, I would love to see a video like that. Like, yes, please tell me which books or which experiences have made you decide to take your love for literature to a university level, Please tell me. So I did decide to put it up, but it felt a bit weird and awkward. And it, I think most of my subscribers still come from that video. So, that was a good decision. So that's what I mean. I hope you're getting a sense of what I mean by the gaps. So look at the content you see and ask yourself how you can make it your own, make a better, calmer, more informed, whatever version of something that you already see. A great book for that, by the way, I have it in the back somewhere there, but I can't be bothered to get it right now, is Steal Like an Artist. I think it's by Austin Kleon or something like that. I can't quite remember his name. It's a very small book. It's basically just illustrations. And he talks about the fact that true artists steal their ideas from everywhere, little parts, and then put something new together in order to find their own style. So connected to that, but sort of still a different question, is question number 3 in this part. What's my unfair advantage? And an unfair advantage is something that only you can bring to the table. So my unfair advantage, for example, is that I study literature, and not a lot of people do that, and people are interested in what that is like. My other unfair advantage is that I speak a lot of languages. Your unfair advantage might be that you come from a specific country that not a lot of people know about. It could be that you have learned or studied or worked with something completely different in your life before that now you can connect to your reading. Maybe you have a specific personality type. Maybe you do yoga and you can somehow connect that with your reading of books. Or maybe you're a writer yourself, you love writing poetry. Whatever it is, there is something out there that makes you unique, and that is just helpful to bring into the picture, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be like everyone else, because everyone else already exists. So to sum up this entire point with the 3 questions, I would say that if you just keep making videos and you keep reflecting on these questions, then your unique style and your unique way of making videos will reveal itself to you. Okay, and then let's now move over to the 3rd phase, which is if you want to become more serious with YouTube and you want to build consistency. So consistency is something you'll have to figure out if you want to make a channel that people can count on for regular uploads, and also if you want to make a channel that eventually brings in money. 2 points about consistency. First, think about a pattern that really works for you and your schedule. For example, I can only make 1 video a week. That is already stretching it sometimes. I'm studying full time, but 1 video a week to me is doable. I know there's a lot of people who upload a lot more, but given my life circumstances and the types of videos that I make, that is what I can do. I think even if you can only upload once every 2 weeks, that's fine. The important thing is to have a rhythm and that you can exercise enough vision to see that you can keep this up over months and years to come. The second point on consistency is account for having to do more. There will be times when you're sick, on vacation, or there's public holidays, or there's something else that disturbs your life in a way where you cannot make your videos in your planned schedule. So you'll have to have some extra videos up, it's sometimes sort of in the bag that you just have ready to go. For me, that's busy study periods. For me, it's when we go to the Netherlands for a couple of weeks. I have to pre-film. So when you think about a schedule that works for you, just account for the fact that probably you'll have to do even a bit more than that one video every 2 weeks that you're taking into consideration initially. I hope that makes sense. I think it does. I think you know what I'm trying to say. Just expect the workload to be a bit more. Oh, and a third point on consistency, actually. Choose a rhythm that still makes you feel creative. I think you want, at least I want to keep feeling like I have an endless source of creativity and information and thoughts about things in me, and I just once a week sit down and film a video. I don't want to be like scraping together thoughts and information I've gathered just to make a somewhat okay video. So I think that is actually the danger of making a lot of videos, is that you're using yourself in such a way where you constantly have to produce output and you don't have enough room to actually move the thoughts that you have around inside of you and to take art or to take information in. So those 3 points: think about consistency that's doable for your schedule, and account for the fact that you'll have to do more, as well as the fact that you want to keep feeling creative. And that leads me to the last question in the questionnaire down below, and that is a question I ask myself regularly. I think at least twice a year. I sit down and I wonder, how can I keep enjoying what I'm doing? And I think it's so important, if you want to keep doing this work, to regularly check in with yourself on that point, because you'd be surprised how quickly you can be swayed by views and comments and the YouTube algorithm to make things that you didn't actually want to make. And what this question is trying to do, at least what it's doing for me, is to make sure that you enjoy the actual process and that you're staying true to your values. And on the very, very long term, that is the only way to keep going. This is a marathon, not a sprint. If you want to take YouTube seriously, think about how you can do it in a way where you still feel good about it in 5 years. That's in 10 years. That's the time horizon we're working with here. And just to be clear, that doesn't mean that I enjoy 100% of the things that have to do with YouTube 100% of the time. That's not what I'm saying. There are days when I'm feeling tired or uninspired or unsure of myself. But what this question does for me is it assures that I stay in the right general direction, and that I don't wake up one day asking myself how it could have come this far, that I'm being this inauthentic person in my videos. So someone asked about, in the questions, about my philosophy of making videos, and I think this part that I just said is probably the most important aspect of my creative work in general, and also of making videos. So I hope that answered your question a little bit, because I can't keep doing something on the long term that I'm not proud of, and that doesn't in a way feel effortless and inspiring to me. And just to round off that question on sort of my filming philosophy, there's another point that really helps me, and that was to read Theodore W. Adorno's view on art and what distinguishes a piece of real art from a piece of just culturally manufactured, mass-produced art. So he has this distinction. So he has that distinction between true art and false art, and it's a bit difficult for me to translate off the cuff, but basically he says that art that is a mass product of the cultural industry is numbing, and it makes people passive. It's soothing them, and it's confirming what they already think they know. It's sort of a re-chewing of the ever same matter, and it's measured by its financial success. And it's also categorized as art that stifles the consumer's own creativity and just serves as a passing of time. So Adorno says that is a false, unhelpful piece of art. Whereas true art, as he puts it, critically examines the standards of its time and is geared towards the truth. It is a vehicle of the truth, in fact, and it can be estranging, dark, it can ruffle some feathers, and it just shakes people awake in a way where it brings chaos into the perceived order. It's also shamelessly individualistic and unique. It's authentic, and it serves to strengthen the creativity of the consumer. This distinction of the two different kinds of arts really helps me decide which videos to make. So yeah, I hope that answers the question, and I hope that was helpful in some way. Now I just have some last tips, some mindset tips, I guess, that sort of didn't fit anywhere else, but that I wanted to throw out there because I think they're important. So we'll knock those out, and then we get to the Q&A section. So something I definitely want to mention is the 4% rule. I've heard that rule in a book about creativity by this man who has such a complicated name. I'm going to put it on the screen, but I cannot pronounce that name. Anyways, he wrote a book about creativity, and he talks about the 4% rule. That is that every time you do something, you should just focus on doing it 4% better than the previous time. So, if we take this example and apply it to making YouTube videos, to me, that means every time I make a video, I'm making it 4% better than the previous video I've made. And that was difficult for me in the beginning, because I have these grand visions of those amazing and complicated and creative videos I want to make. But I know I cannot get there immediately. Like, I would burn myself out. So what I focus on instead is just doing 4% better in every video. And my 4% better has, for example, been putting a candle in the background. Or another week it has been filming even though I feel a little bit under the weather. Or another week it has been trying to layer in 2 pictures at the same time when I'm editing, you know. But I think you're seeing what I'm trying to get at. All of these steps are not hectically complicated to implement, but they accumulate over time and make it so that your videos after just a few months will be so much better and more professional than they were when you started. The next little tip is that people have to know what your channel is about. So be sure that you make it clear on your starting page that this is a channel about books. Maybe have a creative name that is about books, you know. So I think a lot of small channels, I used to be like that for a long time, but I used to upload all kinds of videos, and then no one knew what my channel was really about, and it's just very confusing. So as much as you can, stick to a certain layout and just make it clear what message you're conveying. Also, a point of encouragement: there is always room for good things, you know. I think it's very discouraging to hear, but there are so many people on YouTube now, or so much music has been made. No, there's always room for good things, you know. So don't look left and right too much, and just put yourself out there if you want to. Also, there is no right way to do a book review, you know. You can do that in whatever creative way you want. Also, make content that you love. I've said that before, but you're not going to be able to keep up with anything else and make content that you're proud of, you know? And it is a fine balancing act between wanting to get views and wanting people to see your videos and making content that you love and that you're proud of. Because often what you see is that the videos that are the most work and that are most dear to your heart are not going to get the greatest amount of views. So I would just, if you want to grow your channel, I would mix it up, you know. My Goethe videos, for example, they were an insane amount of work and I'm so proud of them, you know. I'm really happy that I made those videos, but they're not getting amazing views. But I do know that over the long term, they're going to be valuable to people. So it comes back again to this sort of long-term vision. And it also keeps me going in a way because like it's nourishing from the inside, you know, to know that I can wrangle with a difficult text like this. Also focus on making good videos. You know, there's this thought floating around that as long as you upload a video every day or every week, eventually the algorithm will pick up and you'll be big. And I just don't think that's the case. You know, you want to make a video where people enjoy it so much that they're gonna want to watch your other videos as well. And even if you upload every day and your content is just not very qualitative, that's not gonna make you grow. Like, I don't know, but this belief sort of has to stop. Also, stay away from YouTube analytics. Delete the YouTube Studio app. That thing is really addictive and it's not good for my mental health. I felt so much better after I deleted that thing because it always tells you how your video is ranking compared to your other videos, and it tells you things like, oh, it seems like this week's video isn't doing so good. It's very discouraging. You know, you can look at your analytics, but do it when you're in a good state of mind and you're actually looking for information, and maybe do that once a month. You know, it's not helpful to have that app on your phone and to be checking your subscriber count every 30 minutes. And I've had to learn that lesson. All right, let's get into the rest of the questions. So Flammeva asked, I've been thinking about it myself for the past year, so thinking about making a YouTube channel, but I don't know how to go about it. Could you perhaps also talk about the pros and cons of an English Book-YouTube channel? I'm German and I'm not sure whether I should do it in German or English. I have two things to say about that. So first of all, it just depends on which language you either feel most comfortable in, I would say, or which language you'd like to learn better. You know, my mother tongue is German too, and this YouTube channel is an excellent way for me to learn to articulate myself better in English. And I'm probably better able to do that in English by now than in German. So if you want to better your English, do it in English. You'll also probably have the potential for a bigger audience. But if you want to do it in German, do it in German. Like, I don't know, I don't have all too many tips for that. I never personally watched German YouTube videos ever, so I have no idea what's going on there. The only thing I will say is that what I don't see a lot is people in one language talking about the literature of another language. So, for example, people ask me all the time to make videos about German literature. You know, that's what everyone wants to see. So maybe you would like to fill that niche and just present German books to English speakers or the English canon to German-speaking people. You know, I feel like these sort of middle ways, overlapping sort of gray areas, they're very underrepresented. So that's my 2 cents to that question. Okay, next question. So Der echte Yassin asked 3 different questions I think the first two I have sort of answered already. And the third one was very interesting. So he says, or asks, do you have a specific type of audience or person in mind to whom you address your videos? I'm saying this because I've tried to write a script for a book review, but found the process of finding my own voice within it rather difficult. And making a video addressed to a vague and undefined audience didn't really help. Have you had any similar experiences when you started? Does one simply focus on expressing one's own thoughts and experience as honestly as possible, and the rest becomes somewhat irrelevant? You know, I've had to think about that question a lot, and the answer is yes. I do definitely imagine someone being there, but that someone is not a real person. It's more of a amorphous, gray person that in my eyes is older than me and much wiser than me. So I always sort of assume that the other person on the other side of the screen is more intelligent than me, but is also someone who is not gonna punish me for small mistakes. But, you know, that might say more about my psyche than about anything else. Maybe you can pick something out of that answer that helps you. I do understand that it's awkward to talk to a camera, but I can assure you again that it gets easier. It's a real good practice of authenticity. You know, I think in the end, being authentic just means being the same person in every situation. And that is just practice. You know, it's practice in the sense of making videos and becoming comfortable with that act. And it's also a practice of strengthening your own sense of self-esteem, and maybe doing practices like meditation or journaling to just get to know yourself better. You know, it's like it's an inner and an outer growth at the same time. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% there. I still think I'm a little bit different probably if you meet me in real life. But it's not about perfection, you know. I think it's much more helpful if you just frame your YouTube video making as a sort of training ground to get to that place of authenticity, rather than having to be at that place of authenticity 100% before you can start making YouTube videos. So just see it as a practice, not as an end goal. And if it's still too hard, I think just send it to a friend, you know. I'm sure you have a friend who wouldn't mind a video of yours, and just record it for them and address them directly so you can get a little bit of practice in speaking. If you want to, you can make a video and address it to me and send it to me through my email address. I'll happily watch it and give you feedback. That would be lovely, actually. So yeah, feel free to do that. I think in the end you do want to get to a place where you feel like you're talking to a friend, but give yourself some time to get there. And as I said before, it helps to record the intro at the end of the video. Okay, Daniel F_C asked about script writing, impactful thumbnails, and niches inside a Book-YouTube channel. So just to get the niche thing out of the way, I'm very tired of hearing that word, I have to say, and everyone trying to figure out their niche. I understand, and I looked into that, but ultimately you're your own niche, you know, you're your one person. And I think if you keep focusing on what you love doing and what makes you unique, then your niche will reveal itself and it will come to you in that process. So don't stress too much about that in the beginning, just get started. Okay, script writing. I'll do my best to give you a clear sense of what I'm doing when it comes to script writing, but I usually do have a script or a thread that helps me through a video. I mean, you can, I don't know if you can see it here, but today it's like 14 pages. This is a long video, but I try to avoid to just read entire sentences. It's more like a thread that helps me to get through the video. And how I go about that is that I have Notion. That's an app you can have for your desktop that's really good for note taking. I have a folder in there that is called Strange Lucidity. So anytime during the day when I have any idea about anything that could potentially make it into a video, I put it in there. And I'm gathering information like that. And then on Sunday, when I do my week planning, I decide on which video I want to make in that week. So I film on Fridays. On Sunday, I decide which video I want to make. And then I basically have 5 days to script my video. So I combine the notes that I've already taken in Notion. I do some research. I do whatever translating or reading I have to do. And I just try to get to the point where on Friday morning I'm ready to film the video. It depends on the workload, depends on how long and how complicated that video is. But I usually try to do like an hour of script writing every evening or so. And I usually just do that when I'm on the train back from university. And for thumbnails, I think it's good to just look at what worked for other people. And what you see works for other book YouTube channels is showing books in the thumbnail and showing yourself in the thumbnail. So that's my 2 cents for that. I don't have very complicated thumbnails, so I can't say much about that. And I really prefer simplicity. So, books and yourself, and that's already great, I think. All right, next question. So Jim Barcelona 9 asked, I'm totally interested, but I really just like reading and writing. Not sure how to fit videography and editing into an already busy schedule. How do you make it look so easy? So I'm glad that I'm making it look so easy. It's not though. Unfortunately, videography and editing will be something that you'll have to learn if you want to make videos. And it does take a lot of time, and people don't usually realize just how much time it takes until they've given it a try themselves. Just to speak from my own personal experience, but preparing videos, script writing, preparing the space, filming, editing, uploading, writing the description box, all of that, it usually takes me between 7 and 14 hours every week. And I just upload 1 video a week. So it is a time-consuming endeavor. However, there are ways to make it easier for yourself. I think I have a pretty high standard for myself at this point, and I also love videography. That really helps. I bought my first camera when I was 15, and I have dabbled in videography a lot over the past 10 years especially. So it definitely helps that filming and aesthetics is a hobby of mine. So, if you're not really into that, you can make much simpler videos. Again, if you just film on your phone and you film it in one go, you'll have barely any editing to do. But you will have to figure it out at least a little bit, because you also can't just outsource this to someone else. Because even if you pay someone else to edit your videos, if you don't understand the process at all, you're not going to be able to articulate what you actually want from that person that edits your videos. And if you don't want to do that, maybe a podcast would be better for you. Why not? That would be great. And if you make one, send me the link. However, as with all things, editing and videography is something that seems very daunting in the beginning, and you'll quickly become better at it. I remember editing my first 5-minute video. It took me like 7 hours or something, because you have to learn how the software works, and it's just, you have to learn everything. But by now, I know how to film my videos in a way where I have relatively little editing work to do. I know how to speak. I know when I have to start a sentence again, and what gestures I have to make to help myself in the later editing process. And that's things that you'll figure out and you'll become better at, but it does take a chunk of time. And it's about this thing of just becoming 4% better every time again, because even though I just told you that I love videography and all those things, and I have quite some experience with it, you will still see how imperfect my videos are at times. You know, I'm still learning how to work with the light, the amount of natural light that's coming in here. My mic has been humming for like 2 months straight in every video. So, you know, sometimes everything's way too orange. I'm just, you know, I'm just trying to tell you that it's a path of ever figuring out how to become a little bit better at a time. Okay, last 2 questions. So, Maspire said that I've always wanted to try filming videos about books, but from time to time it feels like I'm not that professional to talk about them and literature in general, and that all the things I want to say and to express have already been spoken and heard by people many times. Again, I can completely understand that, and I felt the same way in the beginning. Maybe if you watch my first video about Frankenstein, you'll see how insecure I was at formulating my own thoughts. However, what really helped me was to just read that book and take notes as I go and then make a video about it. So I just didn't look at what other people were saying about this book. You know, I didn't read any critiques, I didn't talk to anyone about it, I didn't watch other videos. I just really based my video on my own experience. So I think feeling like you have something to say is very much about not looking left and right too much. And it's also a muscle, again, that you can train. So see it as a project, see it as a project in which you're not trying to prove that you have something valuable to say, but more as an exercise to find what the valuable thing is that you have to contribute. Okay, last questions. Nuance88 asked, I would love to hear any tips you have regarding microphone and camera/lighting. Okay, so I covered lighting. Okay, so I'll tell you what equipment I use. So the camera that I'm filming on right now is a Panasonic GX80, and there is an Olympus lens on it, like an f1.8 gorgeous Olympus lens that is making everything wonderfully blurry in the background. I really love that lens. I don't love the camera though, so if you're looking for advice, my advice would be don't get that camera, because it doesn't have a flip screen, so I can't see myself when I'm filming. I don't know when it stops recording or when the battery is out. It also doesn't have a microphone jack, so I cannot connect audio to it. So I always have to record audio separately and cut it together later. And also it's a photo camera, so it doesn't film for longer than like 20 minutes, which means that I have my phone here and the timer goes off every 20 minutes. Oh my god. Oh my god. And just within the filming of this video, I've already gotten up 4 times and restarted the video again, because it only films for like 20 or max 30 minutes. So don't get this camera. I've heard people having great experiences with the Canon G7X, I think, and also with the Sony Alpha 6700. So, you know, if you have filmed on your phone a while, you're looking to upgrade, maybe those are some options. I would love to get the Panasonic GH5 next. I think I'm gonna look into getting it secondhand. It will probably like be 800-900 euros, but I love the visual of Panasonic cameras, and I want to be able to use all my lenses on it. And yeah, also one of my best friends, he's a professional videographer, and he also uses the GH5 and has Panasonic equipment, so it has just been very helpful in the past that we could, you know, borrow each other's things. Oh yeah, and the other lens that I've used up until like a month ago was just the Panasonic Zoom lens 14 to 140. That's also like great all-purpose lens. Okay, and then for microphone, so this microphone I'm using here is the Maono PM422. Again, I would not recommend it. It's very bulky. I feel like it's covering up half my face. I don't know if I'm really speaking so silently, but I'm having it on maximum capacity and I'm super close to it, and I still have to up the volume in my editing by like 400% in order to have a sound that you guys can understand. So I don't know. It also has a weird pattern of recognition, because it really makes a difference whether I'm here or I'm here or I'm here or I'm here. So I have to be like really careful with how I'm placing myself. So it's not ideal, you know. It cost about 80 euros. I've had it for a couple of years. It's okay. But the one I want to really upgrade to, and that's the thing I'm gonna get next, is a Shure MV7. I think that microphone costs about 270 euros or something like that. But yeah, I'd really love to have that. Again, if you do upgrade to a mic or camera, don't use the things that I have. Do your own research, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Oh yeah, last tip is film in a place where you're comfortable. You know, this is my actual desk. Like, I actually sit here a lot of the times, and film inside, because outside is usually too noisy, and get a tripod and use daylight. I think I've said all these things before. Okay, I'll end the video here. It has turned out to be quite long. I hope that you'll check out the worksheet if you want to use the questions that I talked about in this video. And yeah, if you really end up making a podcast or a YouTube channel, feel free to send me the link. You know, my email address is always in the description box, and I can't promise that I can answer everyone. You know, I'm very busy, but I'll definitely look at it, and if I can, I'll answer, and I'll give you my thoughts and my feedback on it. All right, so thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions or anything to say, comment them down below, and otherwise I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.